Hey, Walt here from StogieReview.com with another video cigar review, and this time this time the review is a little different. It's kind of like an insomnia review. It is the clock just now ticked 5 a.m. I had some difficulty sleeping, and I thought, why not, take advantage of this time that I've got early in the morning since I've been up for hours, and record a review. And the cigar that I'm going to be talking about is one that I was given yesterday from Dave Wagner from Oliva. I bumped into him at a local cigar shop, and this is the Oliva Serie V No. 4, which is a new size that is slated to go over to Europe, much like the Short Robusto did for the V Maduro line. So you're probably wondering, well, why are you reviewing something that Americans simply can't purchase, unless they order internationally? And the reason being is because this is European exclusive, but it isn't. And what's going on is there's a trade show called the TAA, which is similar to IPCPR, and they're meeting in Cabo this year, and I think it's around spring break. And in this trade show, they do they do specials where they bunch cigars together, and depending on how the group of retailers purchase, they get a discount depending on the size of the order. So it's sort of a collective purchase. And Oliva has put in the Oliva Serie V No. 4 into the trade show offering. So all of the TAA retailers will have the opportunity to buy the cigar and bring it into their shop. And I'm assuming however many they order is how many they'll have. So if you have a TAA shop in your area, you should be able to find these in the next couple of months. If not, this is considered a European-only release. I don't think there are nearly as many members of the TAA as there is IPCPR, so there may be some difficulty finding this particular stick. But however it works out, I've got a couple, and I told Dave that I'd be happy to smoke them and talk about them a little bit. I had my first one yesterday, and I'm going to light up my second today, or this morning, and see how it goes. Construction-wise, this thing looks great. The cap on the head of the cigar looks a bit small. It doesn't roll over the shoulder very far. But as long as it doesn't lift away and start to peel back, it shouldn't be a problem. The draw is free, but I'm getting a really interesting flavor that I didn't get before. Sort of like, reminds me of citronella. Well, I'll light it up and see how it goes. That's a really interesting, something I've never had before, and it's certainly not pleasant on the cold draw. And just sort of giving it a little bit of a squeeze, it feels pretty solid and evenly packed. I'm not finding any soft spots. The really odd aroma that I'm getting out of the cigar, which is only on the draw. I can't smell it on the wrapper or at the foot. Once or twice before, I've gotten cigars that they smelled as if the person bunching or rolling them had just put hand lotion on, and it may be a case like that. But we'll see how it goes. It could simply be just a very sensitive palate at 5 a.m. and I'm tasting something that I've never noticed before in the Serie V, because I don't think I've ever smoked one at 5 a.m. first thing in the morning, or as the first cigar of the day. This is certainly not first thing in the morning, not today. Been up for 5 hours. No, that weird taste that I was getting on the cold draw is not coming through on the smoke. So I'm going to smoke this cigar for quite a while now, but we'll see if it picks up further in the cigar. But I'm hoping that it doesn't, and it's just kind of a fluke thing that I smelled. Back to the way the cigar looks. It's got really small veins, consistent coloring. It looks like a well-constructed cigar. And I'm very happy with it as far as, just the appearance goes. And the construction seems solid. The makeup of this cigar is the same as the standard Serie V Liga Especial. It is a European size only. They didn't tweak the blend or anything. It's just a particular size for Europe. So anyway, that is the introduction of the video with me rambling on and on. I'll come back. Maybe I'll tell you why I'm up so damn early. But I'll be back, and we'll do this review thing. Well, I am still plugging along on my Oliva Serie V Liga Especial number 4, and as you can see, it's burning fairly well. I mean, I've got a little bit of a wave to the burn line, but it's not too bad. I don't have the urge to touch it up or anything. The ash is staying nice and compact, nice and neat. I haven't had any flaking going on, and it's providing a good supply of dense smoke. Now, every now and again, the smoke seems a little airy, and I'm kind of glancing at the foot of the cigar, and as I notice that little bit of airy smoke, I'm seeing a tiny little hole in the filler. And from what I understand, that could just be happening during hand bunching. And sometimes it's not a big deal. Sometimes it develops into a large problem. At this point, it really hasn't been much of a big deal. I've just noticed a bit of airiness in the smoke density, which hasn't been terrible, but we'll keep going to see how it goes. The strength of the ash is pretty strong. I had to give it a nice firm tap over the ashtray 2 or 3 times before it finally broke off. And as you can see from looking at it, it's got that nice sort of coned shape to it. So that tells me that everything is burning properly. Wrapper, binder, fillers, and all that. It's combusting at an even rate. With the fillers combusting slower to give you that cone shape. As far as the flavor profile goes, I'm getting a bit of bitterness that I haven't noticed in the larger sizes, which I really don't mind. And I'm getting a bit of a nutty, woody kind of a flavor, and a bit of a leathery kind of taste. The flavor profile is interesting. If I were to rate the flavor intensity, I would say it's probably medium to medium full. The body it's a full-bodied cigar. It leaves a nice little bit of a film on the palate. It's got a heavy quality to the smoke, and the finish is pretty sharp. It comes and goes really quickly on the palate. It doesn't have a long lingering aftertaste, and by that I mean it's different than the lingering sort of filmy kind of mouthfeel that you get from the body. It's sort of sharp through the sinus, and it kind of sort of comes and goes on the palate quickly. The flavor or the aftertaste, not the body. Now that funky flavor that I was getting on the cold draw still hasn't shown up in the taste of the cigar, which is great. It's not something that I was really looking forward to noticing, I wasn't looking forward to taste. Wow, I'm like all screwed up. It's not like I just woke up or anything. I guess I'm just out of practice. So you're probably wondering, well, why are you smoking this cigar at 5 a.m.? Well, my day generally starts at 4:30, or my entire work week starts at 4:30. I get up for work at 4:30, and I'm at my desk and work by 6. And yesterday, Friday, the alarm goes off at 4:30, and I reach over, I turn it off. I'm overly tired for whatever reason. Generally, when the alarm goes off, I'm awake. I'm up. I'm out of bed. I'm moving around. I don't need coffee to kickstart, my day or anything. It's, I'm a morning person. When I'm up, I'm up. And just yesterday, I felt overly tired. So my head ended up falling back on the pillow, and of course, I fell asleep. And I wake up to my wife giving me a shake, and she says, "Hey, it's 5:19." I'm thinking to myself, why is she waking me up at 5:19? Better yet, why is she telling me it's 5:19? And then I'm just getting ready to sort of roll over and go back to sleep, and it dawns on me, oh great, I'm going to be late for work if I don't get up and get out. So I get up, jump in the shower, sprint out of the house, in the car, get to work on time, surprisingly, and I go on with my day. Fridays generally end at 11 o'clock for me. I work half a day on Friday because I put extra hours in during the week, and I generally head on over to the cigar shop. So I go over to the cigar shop. I'm hanging out for a bit, and about 15 minutes before I was ready to leave, Dave walked in from Oliva and asked if I had time to hang out for a bit. So I made arrangements with the babysitter, hung out for a bit, got a couple of the Oliva Serie V No. 4s, and sort of chit-chatted about what's going on in the industry, non-cigar related stuff, and then left, pick up my daughter. We hung out, played for a while. My wife came home, we had dinner, and we were just kind of hanging out as a family. And by like 8 o'clock I was dead tired. Friday night, 8 o'clock, I'm thinking about going to bed. So finally I went to bed at like 8:30, and as soon as my head hit the pillow, I was out cold. And for whatever reason, I woke up in the middle of the night thirsty. So I get up, I go to the kitchen, I grab a glass of water, I glance at the clock, and it's midnight. I'm thinking, is that right? I felt like I've slept for hours. So I grabbed my phone, which was on the charger, and sure enough, it's midnight. I'm wide awake. So I sat down and started watching TV just to kill some time, thinking, maybe sleep will come back along, I'll get tired. I ended up watching an episode of Sons of Guns, the latest one on demand. I watched, after that, I was still wide awake. I watched Top Shot. Then after that, I watched a couple episodes of The Cosby Show. And then I started watching Cheers, and my wife came out, and she's like, come to bed. It's 2 a.m. and you're sitting up watching TV. So we go back to bed, and now she's awake. So we're talking for a little while. She falls asleep. I glance over at the clock, and it's like, it's like 3:15, 3:30, and I was kind of debating on whether or not to get up and take advantage of being awake, or try to fall asleep, knowing full well that regardless of what I do, I'm going to be dead tired tonight. So by 4 o'clock, I was tired of laying in bed staring at the ceiling. So I got up, jumped in the shower, and figured, why not come down here and do a review and utilize some of this extra time I've got while my wife, daughter, and dog are all sound asleep. So that's why I'm smoking a full-bodied cigar at 5 a.m. It's now 5:40 a.m. But first cigar of the day, I'm pairing it with a cup of coffee, and it's not overly full. I mean, maybe if I just rolled out of bed and lit it up, maybe it would be a bit much. But seeing as I've been up for almost 6 hours now, it really isn't a problem. I haven't had breakfast or anything like that, so that's not really making an effect. It's I don't know. I guess I'm just awake enough to stomach a full-bodied cigar without much issue, this early. So, enough rambling. You know why I'm awake, and you got a general idea of everything I did yesterday and this morning. So I am going to take another break. I'll be back after I respond to some emails, take care of some random stuff, and then we'll take a look at the next portion of my Oliva Serie V No. 4, and then we'll just do this review thing some more. Well, I'm back and still plugging along on my Oliva Serie V No. 4, and as you can see, the ash develops nice and firm. It holds its shape well, and it'll get a little bit longer than this before I start to feel concerned that I'm going to drop it on myself. I am going to knock it off the end of the cigar, and it takes a little bit of force. Smoke volume is great. I'm not getting that bit of airy smoke density anymore. I seem to have burned past that little bit of a hole in the filler, and now it's just loads of smoke, nice and dense, coats the palate really well, getting full body. As in terms of mouthfeel, I'm really not noticing any sort of nicotine kick from it. The flavor level has jumped. It's more full now. The finish is still very sharp. Comes and goes on the palate quickly. It's nice and clean through the sinus. It's got a crisp, just very nice crisp sort of flavor or aroma through the sinus. It doesn't linger really long. Again, this is the flavor, not necessarily the mouthfeel. The mouthfeel I'm referring to as body. Here, the flavor and the finish is crisp. It's on and off the palate fairly quickly. I'm kind of running out of things to say. The flavor profile really hasn't changed up much. You know, in some of the other, and actually a lot of the other Oliva Serie V's, I get a sort of like a mint flavor. It's light. It's sort of on the back end as an aftertaste, especially after sipping water, or even a little bit of coffee. I still sometimes get it. In this case, I haven't gotten it at all, and I find it really unique, and it's something I really enjoy. And I notice it mostly in the larger sizes, the double robusto, the Toro equivalent, the torpedo, things like that. This doesn't have the crispness of the Lancero. I really think that flavor-wise, the Lancero is my favorite of the bunch. I probably smoke the most of the double robusto, however. This one I think is definitely better than the double robusto, but I'm kind of torn. I don't know whether I like this one or the Lancero more. Regardless, I think this is a very good cigar. And despite its size, I've been going for an hour and 20 minutes now. In general, I'm a slow smoker to begin with, so your mileage may vary. But this was something that I looked at and I thought, wow, this is something that I could smoke in between naps. I could lay my daughter down, and if I didn't have anything to do, I could grab the baby monitor, head outside, and and smoke one of these while she's taking a nap. But how long it's taken me to smoke this cigar, I don't know that it would actually fit in that short, condensed time frame. I think that the J Fuego Origin Original still holds that slot as the nap time cigar. But this is definitely something I like a lot. I like these smaller format cigars. I generally don't have the kind of time it takes to smoke larger stuff. I rarely smoke a 60 ring gauge. Toros, I don't smoke a lot of. I try to stick with Robustos, Corona, Lanceros, things like that. I would really love to try this cigar in like a Perla format, a 4x40. I'm not quite sure what this is. I'd have to look it up. It feels a little bigger than 40. It could be 4 inches long. This very well could be a Perla equivalent. But for whatever reason, when I think of Perla and I hold that particular size in my hand, it feels smaller than this cigar does. So, it just could be like a mind trick kind of a thing. But I would like to see this in an even smaller format. Maybe something with the ring gauge of the Lancero, but in a 4-inch package. And, it's just kind of a personal kind of a thing. I would just really like to try it. I think that this cigar is definitely a winner. And it's kind of unfortunate that it is primarily going to be a European release. I'm talking a little too much. But if you remember back when I think it was the Serie V that was launched, there was a European release done, the Serie V Maduro. And the US got the same format that we've been getting for a couple of years. It was a torpedo. I think the size varies a little bit from year to year. I think these may have been a little shorter than the year before. But there was another released, a short Robusto, for the European market, and I was really excited about it. I really wanted to try it. But, they all wound up in Europe, and I never did get a chance to try one of those cigars. And it was something that I was really eager to try. It was something new. I liked the idea of that size. It appealed to me, and we didn't get it. And, the same is happening with the Serie V number 4, where Europe is getting the smaller format that I prefer, and we've got all the other sizes. So I'm kind of bummed out that these aren't going to be standard releases here. I mean, I don't know of any TAA shops even remotely close where I could go buy these. I don't know if any of them do online sales. I'm really not familiar with the TAA. But, there will be some here in the States. I'm not quite sure how many. But this is definitely something I would like to see more often. For one, these smaller sizes in the Oliva lineup. But this cigar in particular, I really like it. And I think that's going to close out the video. I've been talking for quite a bit. I don't want this to get too long. And I really haven't noticed too much of a change throughout the cigar, so I don't imagine it's going to get much different down further than where I am. I've taken the band off a little while ago. I would imagine this is probably going to last me another 20 minutes before it gets short and hot, and then I'll pitch it. So in all, maybe an hour and 40 minutes for a slow smoker. The average smoker can probably burn this down to nothing in 45 minutes. But again, really happy with it, and you should definitely try it if you have a TAA shop in the area. So that's going to close out, and until next time, happy smoking.